Hello everyone, we're going to talk about carrier navigation. So, you may have thought, ooh, I want to have a capital ship, and you may have thought, you know, carrier seems like a pretty awesome thing, and you know it is. I'll certainly give that dreads are pretty awesome machines, and if you want to go with CCP's current trends, you might as well go into the Titan. But to start, nobody starts in the Titan. So let's talk about moving a carrier around. Alright, so I've got a carrier here, and I've got a Falcon. Alright, so this carrier is fit in a certain way. There are a few deviations on this in travel, but the key components for a carrier are a little bit of tank, a little bit of cap, and well, you gotta have some fuel. So I can't actually show the fuel in the cargo hold. I'm gonna bring up on the test server in a moment, but I'm just gonna talk about what the fittings are for each of these and how to actually do a jump. Okay, so we have a Falcon here. I've got a little bit of a buffer on here, actually. The way I did it on the test server, I went for the larger buffer, so twice as large of a buffer. This 1600 mil plate gives me over 6,000 in base armor. It's a little too much here, so I had to drop down the guns. Here's the idea. When you want to move a carrier from one system to another, the only way you can do that is to use a cynosural field. Okay, so most ships, they jump through stargates. The carrier cannot jump through stargates, so don't have your carrier warp to a stargate. I'll repeat it again. Do not warp your carrier to a stargate. It's probably the worst thing you can do to a carrier. It's the easiest way to lose your carrier. And I've seen it happen a few times, so I had to say it a couple of times. Alright, I don't like to see carriers die, so keep your carrier off of a gate. Even if you want to do an op on the gate, keep some distance. At least give yourself 100k from the gate. Anyhow, like I said before, do not warp your carrier to a gate. The way you're going to get between systems is you're going to jump them. The Falcon has a few really nice bonuses. Okay, when your Falcon lights a cynosural field, several things happen at once. First, its mobility drops to 0. It can't warp out. It can't log out. It can't dock up. Your Falcon is stuck for half of the time that a normal ship is stuck. A cynosural field generator usually takes 600 seconds or 10 minutes. One of the bonuses to the Falcon is a 50% reduction in the cynosural field duration. That'll increase the lifespan of your ship. Now, a lot of people do these throwaway alts, very small skill points, and just they throw up a cynosural field in a cheap throwaway ship, and they don't care if the ship's gone or they're potted because it's all cheap. And that's a great way to do it too. But other people, they actually use a skilled pilot, and they fly Falcons. Not only do they get half the duration, the 80% reduction in liquid ozone consumption means that they don't have to spend so much time or so much money on their fuel. So the cynosural field generator uses liquid ozone with cynosural field skill train up to 5, and the Falcon skill recon 5. Your consumption is only 50. The nice thing about that is you can light a lot of cynos that way. You can carry a lot of, well, the fuel you carry will go a long distance. You can light it many times. Okay, so there's a cynosural field generator. covert ops cloaking device is really great for moving through nullsec. Keep in mind, any ship that fits a covert ops cloaking device is weak or is susceptible to being decloaked by what's called gate spamming, or where people go around the gates and they drop all kinds of little things, anything they can think of. They jet can one piece of ammo here, one piece of ammo there, and when you jump through the gate with all that junk all around the gate, you're bound to be decloaked. There's no way to decloak up. Basically, you need to get greater than 2,500 meters from everything, including corpses. And a lot of people don't have their overview set to show all those little things. So it may look clear, and you're like, why can't I cloak? Alright, you just lost your Falcon because CCP believes that it's okay to allow gates to be junked up. Or I should say, they haven't introduced a mechanic that allows you to bring your ship into the next system in an ideal place. So, I mean, I think that might be a good compromise. Just say, have your ship land the furthest it can from any space junk. And even if that's greater than the typical distance from a gate, I really think that should be mechanic, because junking up a gate is just it's lame for one. It's an ugly strategy, and I don't know, it seems like a cheat. It's just one of those things you think, hey, I can cloak like normal, but you go through a gate, you're always at risk. With that in mind, stay away from Stackmon. That's a low sec that's usually junked up, and they do all kinds of weird things there, like having 20 battleships with lots and lots of smart bombs. So, you gonna take a frig through there? Don't. Your frig will die before it even lands on the gate. Yeah, be worried about Stackmon. Alright, so, it is relevant, because if you're moving your Falcon around through low sec, obviously not going to light a cyno in high sec, beware of Stackmon. You don't want to lose your Falcon. And you want your cyno guy to get to where he's going to go, so you don't have to waste time waiting for that cyno guy to get in position, and just waiting your carrier for it to get there. Alright. So let's talk about the Falcon a little more. It's got bonuses to jamming, so while you're sitting there and you're waiting out your 5 minutes, the high jamming strength will allow you to keep the ship safe for a little while. So a lone frig comes in, wants to try to take you out, and I've seen that happen a couple times. Just jam him out. He will never get a shot off on you, and if he does, you've got quite a buffer. So if it's just 1 or 2 lone frigs, maybe even a cruiser, you can probably keep them busy for a while, and you won't lose your ship. Alright. Let's see. Those are the things most worth talking about. Okay. Now, this funny thing about EFT is if you hover over this, at least with mine, this will stay up. And in order to get it gone, you have to click on another ship and then back on this one, so you can see what's behind it. Okay, so I've got a warp disruptor. If he's going to stick around and try to get you, you might as well disrupt him while you're putting your weapons on him. And you got a couple drones here too. So, hold him in place and teach him not to go messing with you. Why not? So, disruptor's a good idea. It's always a good idea if there's ever going to be PvP anywhere, any remote possibility. Think about a disruptor. That's one of the things I have the hardest time convincing and talking to people from high sec about. They're not used to the idea, and you go into a mission, you don't need to disrupt your ships. The NPCs just stay there. Anyhow, PvP is a little different, and when we talk about capitals, we're most definitely starting to talk about PvP, especially in low sec. Alright. That in mind, keep it. You could be hot dropped by some capitals and super capitals once you have that cyno. And the nice thing about it is when there's a cyno up, capitals usually know that there is the possibility of being counter hot dropped, or having your friends come through the cynosural field, and if you're on a station, they'll probably gamble that they can just dock up if that happens. So Anyhow, strategy for caps. I want to get into talking about how to move the caps around. So I've got this fitted up, and I'd like to show you on the test server. So we're on the test server, and I've got a Falcon fitted up, just like I showed you on EFT. Let me show you what's in here. We've got uranium charges for our hybrids. We only got 2 of the 3 because we want to be able to cloak. We want to be able to light that cyno. Got liquid ozone at 50 apiece, and actually I don't have them fully trained, so my cynosural field skills say this is the generic one. If you click on the info while the module is not on your ship, it'll give you the generic info for a cynosural field. While it's on, it uses your player skills and everything to calculate it. 300 seconds, so 5 minutes. 90 units of strontium, or of liquid ozone. Sorry, I'm starting to think of carriers and their triage anyhow. And so I guess with 750 we can light that a few times, at least 7, 8 times. So, not bad. Alright, then lower your cost a little bit in there. Okay, I've got a couple of rigs to increase the strength of these modules. You should know how to use ratio modules. If you're going to fly the ship, you should know that magnetometric strength 12.3 is best used on Galente ships, and so on with the other strengths. I'm not going into that. You should know about ECM and about AWAR. Okay, so what else do we have? There's my tank. Alright, so let me go ahead and get a couple of drones just to fit this out the way it should be. Get a couple of hobs, and let me check if this character can actually fit that. Yep, he can do the hob 2s. So I'm going to go ahead and buy 2. And go ahead and put it in the ship. Okay, so there they are. And I can just drop it on the ship, and it goes in the drone bay. Alright. So let's go ahead and launch this thing. And what I'm going to do, this is actually in range of my carrier. I'm going to show you the carrier, and then we're going to go ahead and do the cynosural field. Alright, so actually before I undock, I'm going to go ahead and invite my other character to fleet. Just a second. Okay, so here is the Thanatos. I'm going to show you the fitting real quick. I've got DCUs for DPS, disruptor to hold ships down, and a little bit of a tank. Now, odds are if I went into combat against anyone smart, I'd probably lose this thing quick. So the most important part of this ship is the cap right here, and this is standard for a spider tanking carrier. It's also good to help me to jump to the next place faster. I've got my fighters, 20 furbolgs, 20 fighters. It's less than the other ships. The other racial carriers hold, I think, 14, depending on which one it is. I've got oxygen isotopes in my my carrier. And let's see what else. That's 20,000. That's going to last me a while. I'll be able to jump far distance. Basically, the farther I jump, the more of these isotopes I need. And that's going to be enough just to get us started. I'm in fleet. I've got a fleet going. So I'm going to go ahead and undock both of these. Okay, undock. This is again the test server, so everything's cheap and there's no risk to my ships. Alright, so here's a Thanatos. First thing you do when you get out of station is go above the station. Now, yes, he's in high sec. It's just a peculiarity of the test server. I can actually buy a capital ship in high sec. Normally, capital ships are not allowed in high sec, except for a few, I think, freighters, jump freighters, orcas, a few special ships like that. Okay, so he's got a tank, got a DC-2 and explosives. This is my weakest to resist. And alright, I'm going to show you F10. This little bubble right here is kind of neat. You can probably imagine what it is. If I want to jump, that's about how far I can jump for a single jump at a time. So, my target is going to be over here in Fountain. I forget exactly where it is. 7 VDT, somewhere around in here. It's probably right in here. Yeah, we're close now. 6 VDT, 7 BX. Oh, I know it's in here. So we're going to be jumping to one of these systems. It's right next to 6 VDT. Let me see, maybe it's probably... and I'm all distracted in finding this thing. But you get the picture. It is inside the bubble for sure. Alright, so I've got the carrier going around the station. I'm stopping him. And I'm showing you the range of my jump. Okay, so actually before I begin, I'm going to show you the fuel bay. Right click, so you can look at your fuel bay and see what fuel you have. The drone bay, same thing. I've got a drone bay. It's over here, drone bay. And I think I already showed you what's in it. I've got corporate hangars, 10,000 cubic meters controlled by me. The corporation only controls the names, not what's in it. Ship maintenance bay, which again, fully fitted ships can go in here, not packaged, and only with ammo in their cargo holds. I can configure who can access the ship maintenance bay. Right now, corporation members are allowed to use it, but I can't allow fleet members to grab ships from there. Up to 10, within 5K of me. So a really quick tour, I hope. People can use my fitting service and take off mods, put on mods if they're within that distance. And my cargo hold. 875 cubic meters. Anything I want can go in there. The only thing that's restricted is drones can go in here only, and only fuel can go in here, including liquid ozone, strontium, which is only for triage, so don't put strontium in here. Don't carry strontium in this. You need it. Alright. So, let's see if I can get... This is crazy. It looks like this particular client is locked up. Lovely, thanks CCP. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so logged off, logged back on, and it looks like I have control of the client now. Okay, so what are we going to do with this Falcon? We're going to find a system that doesn't have anybody in it. Don't want attention to either my carrier or my cyno. So we look in local and we see it's empty. So I jump to 6 VDT, neighboring systems AV-V, and I find no one's in them yet too, and it's because it's a test server. Yeah, on the real server, I guarantee you 6 VDT would for certain have a lot of people in it. Hello, test. Alright, so I'm basically moving him back to the station. The best way to jump your carrier is to a station. That way, once the timer runs out, you'll be able to dock up. So you want your carrier right next to the station to stay within dock range and dock up as soon as it can. And this is flying in convoy with lots of other carriers. So alright, this is going to take a while. Let me go ahead and pause it for you. Alright, so The Falcon is back at range. I was actually trying to delay a little bit because the client seemed frozen. I was hoping I'd get control of the client before. So then, even though it was frozen, the ship kept flying out. So I had to get it back. All right, what I'm doing is I'm bringing the Falcon within a certain distance of this station, not the scanner. I want the tactical overlay or control D, it looks like. I'm going to go out with my scroll button on the mouse until I can see that 5K line right there. And I'm going to imagine a sphere. I'm actually stopping right now because what I want is to get that sphere. And some people will use, well, let's see. That's got much bigger range than 5K. But some people will use a module that has a range of 5K to help them see that sphere, because it'll make a sphere right around 5K. Now here's the issue. The carrier will land somewhere within that sphere, that 5K sphere of the cyno. You want that point that the ship lands to be at 0 of the station. So if it lands over here, it's a little bit vulnerable because it's kind of away from the station. It might be at 0 still, but people could bump it off. Okay, lands here, it's okay. So what can we do? We can move closer toward the station. Now if I keep moving to the station, 5K down is going to be over that station. If the ship actually lands inside the station, it'll be ejected at thousands of meters a second away from the station, up to 50 or 100 kilometers away from the station. At which time, the not so friendly locals will burn out to you before you can warp out and point you, or that is warp disrupt you, far away from the station and no way to defend yourselves, not even close to the cyno field. So that, even if your friends came in, you'd be in a very difficult position. This looks like I might have a 5K sphere. It might go into the station a little bit, but my experience has shown that this is really a good place for a carrier to come in. Odds are it's going to be right around here. It's going to be close to the station. Alright, so let's go ahead and light the cynosural field. We'll just click on this and we'll jump it through. Now, after it's lit, I click it again to deactivate it. I don't want it to do a second cycle where I'm committing myself for a total of 10 minutes. Alright, so I've got 5 minutes, thanks to the bonuses of this ship. 5 minutes to get my ship in. So, let's go ahead and bring in the carrier. I right click on the carrier, I say jump to, and I see my fleet mate because he's in my fleet. Hidden Eagle. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to him. And I'm going to zoom out so you can see the graphic. It looks really neat. Okay, and also notice the cap. Right now I'm at 100. Notice what happens to my capacitor on the Thanatos. Zooming out. Cap's way down here. You see that thing shoot off? Really neat. Alright, so it used a fair amount of my cap. And then boom. I landed... Still 0 away from the station. I can move, but I can't dock. I have a timer. It's a jump timer. So I would instantly move towards the station. Some people fit reps or remote reps on the highs so that they can protect their cyno ships. It's a good idea. In this case, this cyno ship is fitted with armor, so I might have some armor, capital armor mods, and just put it on him until he's finished with his 5 minutes. Alright, so now of course before I jumped my carrier, I looked in local to make sure that I was all alone. The jump takes about 8 seconds. If this field goes down within 8 seconds, in the middle of my jump, this ship will land somewhere in the system. Somewhere out in space. For it to be scanned down and pointed if the enemy is good. If they're ready and good. Now if you had a cloak on here, and you can't have a covert ops cloak, but just a regular cloak, you could cloak up if you landed somewhere in space. So it's also another good possibility for a module you might put up here. Alright, so he's burning down towards the station, and right about now his timer is probably up, so he can dock up. So he docks up. And there you go. There's a jump from one system to another, and ironically, it's owned by Dreaded, but I was able to dock in this place. That's crazy. I wasn't expecting to be able to do that, because I'm certainly not with Dreaded or Test Alliance. So I don't know, I think they might have changed things on the test server to allow a little bit more ease in testing. Alright, so there's my tutorial. Notice my isotopes are down to 6,120, so you can do the math. It took 3,880 oxygen isotopes to jump. So, not that much. Didn't jump that far either. Okay, so he's safe. All I have to do is finish that weight. It's probably 2 minutes, and then I can do something with this Falcon. Alright, I think that covers pretty much everything. So, hope you learned a lot about jumping a carrier, and in future videos I'd like to talk about more advanced jumping techniques. Might be a little bit more risky, but certainly if I couldn't dock into the station, and you better know that before you jump, if I couldn't dock into it, my carrier would be in a world of hurt. All of Test would be on it, and yeah, he'd be down pretty quick. Alright, talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed.